Afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever in this world you might be. My name is Jack Branch, and I do this show every Tuesday and Thursday called the Healthy Wealth Show. And the goal is to help people navigate through the valleys of life, whether it's health or wealth. You know, I was just talking to a colleague of mine, and we were talking a bit, and it's interesting how still people are doing what I would consider archaic ways of getting the news out there, like the radio. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, TV and the radio, some people, I guess, are listening and tuning in, but most people are on these devices, you know, trying to get new information, get stuff. And I'm really excited about today, a local guy that's an entrepreneur. He's in a space that we're all going to need sometime in our life, whether we know it or not, as we get older, this aging population, and we're going to need more physical help. A physical therapist. So I want to introduce a new friend of mine, a guy that I've met through the community, Paul Jones. How are you today, Paul?
Doing well, Jack. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. You know, it's a little warmer today, even though yesterday it felt like the frozen tundra. Today it, stay in Louisiana, and it changes within 10 minutes, right?
As long as it's not raining, I'm happy.
That's right. It's felt like Seattle here for the last week or 10 days. I'm like, God, please take me out of. So tell us a little bit about you, Paul, and how you got into physical therapy, you know, a little bit about your family, your background, you know, how you got to Mandeville, this, that, and the other.
All righty. Well, I'm a physical therapist. I've been a PT for 28 years. I'm actually originally from Scotland. I went to physical therapy school in the north of England, a university called Teesside, and right after, when I graduated, physical therapists were in big demand in the U.S., and I decided to come to the U.S. Just kind of on a whim. I thought I'd come over here and then go back home and pursue my career over there. And so that was 1990, and I'm still here. And, of course, married Melissa. We had 3 kids. She's a local girl. Her mom told me, you know, if you're my daughter, you can't take her anywhere. So that was it. I'm here. I'm a native now. And I went into private practice in 2005. I've always wanted to do this. I've worked for other private practices. I've worked in hospitals, worked in home health, and that kind of thing. And so in 2005, I decided to take the leap and go into private practice. And I found a location, and I started to build it out. And 2 weeks later, Katrina came rolling through, and
wow.
I think I had the studs in the building. And of course, as you know, after Katrina, you know, you couldn't get anybody to do anything. They were all working in the city or disappeared. So it took me about 6 months to actually get the doors open. I was about 6 months behind schedule, but one of the things that helped me was that we had a very large influx of community from the South Shore. A lot of people from St. Bernard came over here, a lot of people from the South Shore. And so we had an influx of people in the community who were looking for my kind of services. So once we got the doors open, we had a lot of people come in and access our services, and things kind of took off. So,
and you've got how many locations, Paul? 3?
Well, I have a location here. I also have a location in Hammond.
Nice. We've got a similar story. I left a firm I was with around that time, Katrina, and then the same thing. We just signed a lease and moved in this building, and we're like, oh, my God, what am I going to do? Who's going to want to talk about money or investing, or just want to get back in their house, you know? But
right.
It definitely is a testing time, you know, going through all that. So tell me a little bit about what makes Jones Physical Therapy different than maybe the traditional physical therapist, or maybe sometimes people mix chiropractic to physical therapy. I mean, I know a lot of folks want to hear that story about what makes you unique in your practice.
Mm-hmm. Well, we do traditional physical therapy. We offer things like dry needling, which are a little more innovative. But we also we're trying to expand into other areas. We're looking at the whole person. I'll give you an example. We have back pain is probably like a very large percentage of what we see. A lot of people suffer from back pain. We'll have people come in and they say, okay, I want to get out of pain. I want to get back to things I enjoy. And, you know, we can get them out of pain, and we can get them, part of the way towards their goal. But often, for example, they may have 50 pounds of weight or 70 pounds of weight they have to lose, and ultimately, unless you address that problem, then you can't really get to you can't get them to exactly where they want to be. So we've added in the last year wellness and weight loss. We had a nurse practitioner working with us, and we've been able to help our clients also lose weight and in pursuit of better health.
Another thing, I know we had that conversation. A lot of back pain comes from people just carrying too much weight. They don't realize. I actually made a post a couple days ago. I mean, there's a huge correlation with that, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. Like I give people an example when I'm trying to illustrate it. I say, look, if you go to your fridge and grab a gallon of milk and walk around the kitchen with it for a while, see how long it takes until you're tired of it and you want to put it down. It might be like 1 or 2 minutes, and your shoulder's aching and it's hurting, and you want to put that thing down, and then you realize that's only 8 pounds. And can you imagine if you have 20 extra pounds around your waist and you're not carrying it around for 2 minutes, you're carrying it around for 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, 10 years. Imagine how that makes you feel. And often people all they have to do is lose 20, 30 pounds and they feel a whole lot better.
Yeah, it's there's no doubt it's an epidemic in our society. I mean, people are just it doesn't take a short, especially in Louisiana, with the po' boys and all the cream sauce and all that. Right. Man, it's that time of the year, king cake season. So you've been committed.
That's right.
You've been committed to health for quite some time, though. Looking at your physique and all that, when did health really become a huge priority for you? Not only in your business, but just personally.
I've always tried to stay healthy. I used to run a lot, and I lift weights regularly. But I'm like everybody. I've had my points in life where I've got too buried in work and not making health and wellness a priority, and put on weight. And I remember in my 30s when I had I had 3 young kids, and I was working a lot, and I put on a lot of weight, and I had back pain like every night. I'd wake up with back pain, and it was just tormenting me. I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't fully rested. I was stressed out, and I had to take my own advice and turn it around and lose 20 pounds, and all that back pain went away. And I haven't had back pain since, particularly since I've been lifting weights and got my core strength up. Back pain is just not even a thing that concerns me anymore. But I certainly understand how your life can get off track that way when you just you're dealing with other things and taking care of other people and not making your health a priority, which is quite easy to do.
It really is. And, somehow we've been sold a bill of goods that we should somewhat feel selfish for taking care of ourselves when really it's just a good habit to demonstrate. It's
right.
If you don't put the oxygen mask on yourself, who's going to be there to take care of everyone else? It's interesting you talk about weightlifting. My daughter is only 15 and she's joined the powerlifting club at Northlake, and I'm just blown away by just watching her. She's inspired me, Dad. I mean, to really get back at that. I've really paid a lot of attention to nutrition, and that next step I really got to do is what you're talking about. So, what is your mission at Jones? I mean, what are you trying to? What would you say is your why behind the what and the how?
Well, one of the things we realize is that there's a lot of people out there who are struggling with these problems. They have pain. They're not reaching their full potential. They're unhappy. And we want to reach out and find people who are having these problems and get them out of pain and get them back to the things that make life enjoyable and rewarding. So, also because we're physical therapy, we're part of traditional medicine, but we focus on techniques that don't use medication, shots, surgery. And that's another route people tend to go down. They feel like they have to have medication to get better. They have to have shots. We have people who often are considering surgery, and we're able to help them in other ways where surgery is not really something they need to think about at that point. So that's really the message we're trying to bring to people, is that there are a lot of other ways to solve your problems other than taking things with side effects that might not be helpful for you. So.
Well, I know I've got a lot of friends dealing with the shoulder aches. Talking to a guy I'm coaching right now in the health arena his knees are shot, bone on bone. The guy's suggesting him do a full knee replacement. Is there anything in those respects, that we could pay attention to, or are there any alternative solutions to bone on bone and a knee when the orthopedics suggesting a knee replacement?
Well, ultimately, when you're at the end stage in arthritis in the knee, then a knee replacement is a good option. That's what you want to do. But in the lead up to it, I'll give you an example. I had a guy come to me a couple of years ago, and he was having knee pain, and he'd been to the doctor, and they'd done an X-ray, and they said, your cartilage is thinning. You're probably going to have surgery. And he wasn't really thinking he really didn't want to do surgery, so he came to see me, and I was able to fit him with some orthotics. Very simple solution. It just changed the way that he was moving, and that took away his knee pain. And this is 3 years ago. I checked in with him about a month ago, and he was feeling good. So because he was out of pain, he started to look at doing other things to improve his health. Now he's doing power yoga. He's lost some weight. Did we restore the cartilage in his knee? No, we didn't. Would he probably need knee surgery at some point? I'm certain he's in his 50s. He may need knee surgery at some time. But for now, we've got him in better shape. So if he ever does go to have surgery, he'll be a lot stronger. He'll be healthier, and he'll be able to tolerate that surgery and get a much better result. So I feel like, in that case, we postponed surgery, but we also, in the case of if he does eventually have a surgery, it'll be a much better experience for him.
So if you're in the Mandeville, Covington, Madisonville, Hammond area, definitely check out Paul. He's obviously good at what he does. I just saw a video he did that I'm going to share at the end of this if I can find it. I'm sure I can find it. I'll go to his website and feel it. But it's really, what does a physical therapist and the stock market have in common? And if this video doesn't demonstrate to you that you're dealing not only with a guy that's serious about helping you restore your health from a standpoint of physically, but also challenging you just to think different. And I think that's a real key element, isn't it? I mean, just to have the willpower and say, I'm going to go get healthy and go to the gym, or I'm going to, do a better nutrition plan. If you really don't have that right mindset, it's only going to last for a short period, right? That's why people come off of New Year's resolutions versus a guy like you that has embraced health for a myriad of years. And it's just become like breathing.
I agree, and a lot of it is just structure and habit. And I suffer from the same problems everybody else does. I don't want to go to the gym every day, and I maybe don't want to eat right all the time. But a lot of it just comes down to how you approach it in the first place and how you set up your framework. So, and I think with the video you're talking about, what I've come to appreciate is that. I'm more like a guide, like a coach for people. So they come to me with these problems, and I lay out, here are the solutions that are available to you. And here's a plan to make that actually happen, not just, you walk out of the office with good intentions and then nothing happens. It's like, okay, what are we going to do tomorrow? What are we going to do next week? What are we going to do a month or a year from now to get you where you want to go?
Proactive versus reactive, right? I mean,
exactly.
A lot of that. Yeah. I even asked you about your guy, CPA, that there's a lot of CPAs out there that are just historians, give them a bunch of numbers, they plug it in, they're not thinking about what can they do, we're all in that stage right now. So what kind of people do you help? I mean, are good, ideal people in your clinic and practice?
We help a very broad variety of people, but typically it comes down to folks in my demographic, 40s through 60s, who maybe want to get back a little bit of that, what they used to have, a little bit of strength, a little bit of flexibility. We also do get some young athletes who come in. We get some high school athletes, some college athletes. We're equipped to help them as well. So, but anybody who's having issues with moving, has had an orthopedic surgery, has a sports injury, and just needs help move forward and get the best possible result.
In this generation, obviously, with the baby boomers and all, they're all about quality of life. There's a guy that I play poker with once a week, and the guy is 75, and if I look at him, he's playing tennis. He's incredible. Yeah, he's battling some other illnesses and such, but looking at him physically, I'm like, damn, you're doing some good work there.
I've seen a huge shift, in my almost 30 years of being a physical therapist, and in just the attitude of people towards illness, and nowadays the people who are getting older are much more in tune with the idea that you need to move to get better. Movement is a form of medicine rather than staying out, getting laid down until I feel better, which is some of the previous generations had this idea that you stay in bed until you feel better, and then you get up and do something. And now people are understanding you got to actually do it the other way around. You got to be active to make yourself well.
I mean, even just going for a walk, right? I mean, you're
Right.
doing CrossFit and some pretty amazing stuff, but you don't even have to get into that to begin. I mean, just getting yourself out
Right.
for a nice walk, it helps the stress. You can download and listen to some good podcasts, listen to videos and such, something like this, or just other stuff to pour into your mind. I mean, it's all good stuff. And tell us about
Walking is.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
No.
I was going to say walking is phenomenal exercise. It's what your body's built for, and you don't need any training, you don't need any equipment, and you can start off slow. You can start walking a couple of blocks a day, and just add a little bit every week, and the next thing you know, you're walking miles a day, and you're feeling great.
Did you find that in Scotland, growing up and what have you, it was much more mobile on foot versus the United States?
Yes, I mean, well, I grew up in Edinburgh and Glasgow, they're older cities, and they're built for walking. They were built in a time when people didn't have cars, so
Right.
you pretty much walk everywhere. We walk, probably a couple miles a day just to do normal things that we did. We didn't think about it as exercise.
Yeah, and I think you look at kind of what's gone on, even in us living in suburbia and what have you, unlike back in the day when things were more urban. I mean, just that alone. I mean, no one hardly walks or rides their bike or does anything. They're taking Uber for
We take the
God's
golf
sake.
cart to the neighbors.
Yeah, right. I mean, I hadn't done that yet, but my daughter's trying to break me down. I'm sure she'll be in my wallet before long.
Yeah.
But tell me about this book you've written. I mean, I'm trying to work on one. I've got the title. It's kind of the retirement scam. I know you've written one that I want you to share that with the audience a little bit. How that came to be, and what it's about, etc.
So a big part of my job is communication. I'm communicating ideas. I'm making plans for people. And a couple of years ago, I started blogging seriously, and so I started writing a piece of content every week, and just basically things that I've learned over the years, what works for people, what's helpful, what's easy to do. And so I started writing these blogs out, and after about a year, I had a lot of material, and I had some friends who said, hey, Paul, you should probably write a book. You've got all this material here. So I compiled a lot of my best advice for different problems that people suffer from, and added, my life story and some other things about things like how to start a walking program, how to get into regular exercise, how to think about life, how to live better, have less stress, that kind of thing, and put it together in a book, and I had it published about 4 months ago on Amazon. So,
And what is the name of the book so they can find? Show it to me.
actually, funny you should ask. I have it right here. 5 Ways to Wellness. I call it 5 ways because a lot of these things are lists of 5 things you can do. I think 5 is a good number. If you have a list of the top 10, you probably stop reading by 3 or 4. If I can say, hey, Jack, here's 5 things you can do to help your back pain. You're going to read it. You're maybe going to do it too. And
Oh yeah,
help you out.
that's good, man. You've inspired me to take this from an idea. How long did it take you to write?
I mean, I
Took
wrote
you a
it.
year. You said you've been blogging for
It
over a
took me
year.
a couple of months to compile it.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of it is just doing something every day to make it happen.
And so, what's new on the horizon for Jones Physical Therapy? I love your motto, "Keeping up with the Joneses." Isn't that one
Yeah.
slogan?
Yeah, keep it up with Jones, or it's easy. It's you keep up with Jones. So we have physical therapy. We have weight loss. We also have massage therapy, which has been a really great service for us. It's a great adjunct to what we do, physical therapy. It's also a good way for people who are not sure what they want to do. They can start with a massage and see if that helps them, and if that does, then they can move into physical therapy. And I think the next thing we want to do is to get into some type of sort of bespoke exercise programming for people who really need somebody to kind of push them along and make them do the right things to get well. Because going to a big club is not for everybody. Working out at home is not for everybody. But working out one-on-one or in a small group often is very motivating and helps people get to their goals. So we're going to look to get into that sort of thing in the next year or so.
Did you ever see the study John Hopkins did on that really talked to about doing that in community? You're like 5 to 6 times more likely to really have the breakthrough and versus doing it on your own. I'm always wondering how a lot of folks just try to tackle this thing called health solo, and then they get frustrated. Yet the folks that are doing the groups and classes like you are, if you miss, that somebody's going to fire you a text, and they'd be like, "Hey, Paul, we miss you." Or if you're in a small group at church, or whatever that case, there's some real value to that, isn't there?
Absolutely. And, we see people who come to see us, and there may be people who used to be high school athletes, or they used to be college athletes, and back then they were just in great shape, and they were happy, and they were motivated. And now they're 30 or 40, and basically the same person, but now they can't drag themselves into the gym 2 times a week. And the difference is it's the same person. It's just the framework is different. They don't have a team that they're accountable. They don't have a coach calling them and making them go to practice. And so if we can create that structure for people who don't have an institutional form like a school or a college, then they're going to have the same results. They're going to be happy. They're going to work out. They're going to be in great shape, and that their life is going to be better because of it. So,
well, I tell you, I really appreciate you taking some time. I know you're a busy guy and running a heck of a practice here on the North Shore. And if you're in the greater New Orleans area, definitely check out Paul. Follow him on Facebook and social media. But definitely, if you're dealing with some folks that just aren't thinking outside the box, if you will, maybe it's time to really start thinking outside the box. You talk about dry needling and some other things that really are on the forefront of helping people relieve pain. So I'm going to share this video, but really I do thank you, Paul, for, coming on today and telling a little bit about your story. But before we end, do you still wear a kilt if you're from Scotland?
I don't have one, but kilts are sort of like tuxedos. You rent them for, weddings and events and that kind of thing. So.
The guy that I first interviewed on this show, Joe Bernard, he was a pastor in the Highlands. I got to connect you to. Neat guy. He was originally from Covington, took an assignment to go to the Highlands, and I asked him that, and he goes, "Yeah, I actually wore a kilt quite frequently." So it's good stuff, man. I really appreciate your time. I'm going to show this video, and folks, definitely reach out to Paul if you want to get more information. If the only option that's being presented to you is surgery, maybe you ought to get a second opinion. It's not a bad idea to really get a second opinion. I want you to watch this video, because if this doesn't make you think that this guy is just not the normal physical therapist, I don't know what will. So we're going to end by sharing this with the folks.
With Jones Physical Therapy.
All right. Thanks for having me, Jack. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Resembles the stock market. So, if you can imagine some.
Hold on a second. Well, it looks like
invest a little bit of their.
I'm gonna add this to the thing. My computer, the tech. Oh, here we go. You got live stuff going on here, so.
Income for retirement, they may invest a small amount every month, and they put it so.
Come on. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to put the link so you guys can watch this, because some reason this is just not cooperating. So we will see you guys next Tuesday. And again, I thank you for Paul and the rest of you guys tuning into this show, the Healthy Wealth Show, where we focus on navigating through the valleys of life through both health and wealth. What's the point of having a bunch of money if you're bent over, crippled, and can't get to point A to point B? And then the other end is, why not be pressing yourself to really accumulate and be as efficient as you can with your money as you earn it? Because everybody's in your pocket, so you better make sure that you keep some for you. Y'all have an awesome day, and we will see you on Tuesday on the next show. Thank you.